Hey guys, so it's Marcus here with Go Local FXBG, again here with another local nonprofit spotlight. This month in August, over at the Courtyard Marriott downtown Fredericksburg, we're doing trivia for our calls, and we are spotlighting our friends at the Fairy Godmother. We just did an event with them, the Silent Disco for our calls. It was a great turnout. It was a great time. We were able to raise, close to $600. So that was a cool thing. That was great. So thank you for everybody in the community that showed up for that. And, hopefully we can do more of those cool events. But we wanted to sit down with Kathleen today and let you guys know a little bit more about Fairy Godmother Project. They've been around for a while. They've been doing great things in the community. But I'm learning in the nonprofit space out here that there's so many more people that don't know about these things.
It's amazing. And if one thing as a nonprofit, you never want to be the best kept secret. But a lot of times it feels like that. You talk to someone and you feel like you've seen them or you've run into other places and they're like,
what do you do
what
again?
do you do?
Yes.
Or they'll say, oh, I hear you do this. And you're like, nope, that's not what we do. So our mission is to ease those day-to-day burdens for families facing pediatric cancer. And our unique focus is that we focus on the caregiver. So that could be, mom, dad, that could be grandma. It's whoever is taking care of the child. And it's what can we do so we can take away those burdens from them so they can spend more quality time with their child. Because that's really where they want to be and have their focus.
Well, that's the thing. Forgive me. I just gotta fix this a little bit. So.
That's okay.
And that's the thing I really do like about you guys. And I didn't know. I was just like, oh, yeah, so they're a nonprofit that works with people dealing with pediatric cancer. And yes, that's part of the mission. But then when we talked with Jen last time about it, I was like, wow, that is a really interesting piece that a lot of people don't think about is like when we're dealing with hardship in general, it's a lot of the family and the people that are trying to support these people that are like suffering just as bad, and we forget about those people.
Right, and they're exhausted, and they soon exhaust their, like their leave from work. They exhaust, family members and neighbors, because cancer isn't just like you get sick and then you're better.
Right.
This could be, 2, 3, 4 years. For some that have relapses, it's even longer. And so it feels like this family is always dealing with cancer, which they are, or they're dealing with the aftermath. Of the treatment. And so we are there for families from the moment they, request services. We're there with them all the way to wherever that journey takes them. And that also frees up for their supporters to help them in other ways. So it isn't just, can you mow my yard, or, I need help cleaning, or can you, take, their sibling to a soccer game or something else. It's they're able to be part of that family's environment, and we're able to help with those things that we can help with, like gas and groceries, house cleaning, lawn care, AAA membership, so you feel safe going back and forth for all the traveling that they're doing to get to appointments. It's just those types of pieces in their lives that they don't have to worry about anymore, so they can really focus on what we said before, what matters the most. Yeah,
and like we keep saying, it's like a really important cause, and I feel like in the nonprofit space, and I'm sure you guys will be able to talk about it more, is like we feel like as like regular people, like, well, I don't got a lot of money, so I can't really help. You know what I mean? Or my $20 is not going to matter. But in the grand scheme of things, especially with what you're talking about, $20 is a good bit of gas.
Right, it is. And thinking about most of our families for services they're getting, they're literally driving, 60 miles north or south or even further for each trip that they're taking to the doctors, let alone then the trip back.
Right.
And so we all know how expensive gas is and how quickly, we go through it. And imagine that stress of every single day, because they're going there and coming back and then going for the next treatment the next day and coming back. It's that wear and tear. So $20 does make a world of difference, in their lives, of just one more thing that they don't have to stress over.
Well, and that's what I'm learning. We went to the Stardust Ball, and like that was a really good thing to attend and hear, like how this money is working and how it's helping, and like it really opened my eyes of like, wow, okay, $20 is a big deal. You know what I mean? That could be lunch for the day. You know, because let's be real, you hop out the car and drive 60 miles, like you probably don't have time to pack a lunch or nothing, and now you're like, wow, I need to go to McDonald's and grab something to drive through, or just the littlest things. Or maybe it is the little bit of groceries that help pack those lunches for these trips and stuff. Or, you know, it's just so many different things that I feel like in the community people need to be more aware of, that like every little dollar counts. You know, one of my favorite sayings is like, all dollars matter. It's like, you know, it goes a long way.
It does go a long way, and it does make like this ripple effect, right? Because the stress they're under now, you know, it's just overwhelming, and it causes, you know, other things that we all know about, right? Chronic diseases, and it causes
all the stress,
you know, other, you know, mental health concerns and things like that. And so if we can take those things, we can't take cancer away.
Right.
We can't change,
no, unfortunately,
how that's going to affect, like, what the end result is. We can just be there.
Yep.
And just that they know that we are there, but we're also people that are there that can support them. And if they, you know, they don't want to have to talk about it. They don't want to, you know, have to explain or give, you know, tell what did the doctor say today. They don't have to. They're free from any of those obligations to us. We just want to help in any way that they want us to help. And it can be very different for each family. Some families, they really do want groceries and gas. Other families are looking more for the opportunities we provide for families to meet each other. So we just recently had a back to school social, because they're going back to school, some of them, and some of them will be learning at home instead, and making this still an exciting time for them, you know, getting the supplies and meeting with other kids that are going through similar things, and just for the families themselves to feel like they've met another mom or they met another dad, that they're not alone in it. It's not just their family dealing with it, and they build their own supports with other families that really do understand what they're going through. And for some of them, that's what they want,
right,
is those opportunities. And so we provide that. We have others who need other types of support services. Maybe they need help with house projects, you know, so helping getting them connected to somebody because they might need a ramp now because their child's mobility is an issue. Or, you know, they may need instead assistance with bills because they pile up, even if you have good insurance.
right.
So it's like wherever they need that help, we have the versatility to really allow them to kind of say what they want and what they need.
Yeah. Well, I like that. And, you know, I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm trying to learn, like, I always talk about, like, trying to meet people where they are, right? So I think, you know, that comes to my mind as you're saying these things is, like, this looks different for every family, right?
Yes.
It's not cut and dry. Cancer is different for everybody. You know, some people's got really good insurance and the insurance part's covered and they ain't got to worry about all that, right?
Right.
Other people got crappy insurance and there's copays and there's maxes and it's like, oh, we're maxed out. Now we need like tons of money or we can't continue.
Right.
You know, so let's touch on like how this all came about. Like, what is your role with Fairy Godmother?
Sure. I'm the executive director here, and Fairy Godmother Project itself has been a nonprofit since 2012, but there was an amazing group of volunteers that worked together earlier on, many years before then, to just identify families in their own community that they could help with those simple ways. They physically went out and cleaned houses.
Wow.
They physically helped to, you know, like fill freezers so that there was, you know, pre-made meals that the family could just drop in the oven or drop in a crock pot and it would be ready after the long day at treatment. They just kind of did those pieces, and that kind of got the start to say they really wanted to do this on a bigger scale. They wanted to be able to answer anybody that said, hey, I really need some help. And so that's how we became a nonprofit in 2012. And we still are primarily a volunteer base. We're about 134 volunteers.
Wow.
And those are all from youth volunteers all the way to adult volunteers. And they serve in different ways. Some come and they come and do meals. They make meals. We make them, freeze them, and then there's other volunteers that deliver them the next week to families. We have individuals that help us to pack our snack bags. We have volunteers that help at our events. ones that serve as lead volunteers. So they're that emotional connection, and they just do those check-ins. They build this relationship, this friendship, and they're checking on them. They're saying, how did today go? Or is there something you need? And they really are being that advocate for them. So if there is something else that they need, they're helping, they're notifying us, but they're also helping to look for, are there resources I know about that I can help connect them with to get that need met? And so usually that lead volunteer is connected with the family for their time with us. And so they do build a really strong bond. But there's a variety of ways that people, can volunteer their time, their talents. We just had somebody who is volunteering their time at one of our upcoming events. We're doing a carnival, and it's one of our families. This is something they really wanted to do on behalf of their daughter who's receiving treatment, and they wanted to have a carnival and raise some funds, definitely raise awareness, provide a family-friendly environment for people to come out and maybe learn a little bit more about how, what we do and how to support a family that they might know. And, we have people that are volunteering their different talents, and it could be face painting, and it could be, entertainment or a clown or other things, and they're sharing those talents in that way to help, basically help us to continue to do the work we do. All of our support comes from the community. So we're like 98% supported, direct contributions from the local area, and the other 2% are basically probably family members and friends that have moved elsewhere that still support us from outside the area because they believe in the work that we're doing here. And so a lot of times people always think that nonprofits get this external funding, right, from state or
I'm
local or
that.
federal. We don't have any of that because since we don't focus on like medical and especially research in our area, they aren't looking for other support services, and we really do fill that niche of just, we want the family when they are wherever that cancer journey led them, we want them to be in a better place so that whatever life looks like for them then, they're ready for that new normal for themselves. And so we're doing all those things to make sure they're in that better place there and that they feel a part of our community because they spend so much time on the road in hospitals, et cetera. But we want them to know that they are an important part of our community and that people care about them.
Right. Well, I think that's really important, especially in today's day and age, especially after the whole COVID thing. I feel like we're way more sheltered than we used to be in general without adding this extra stress, right? And then you go through, getting chills talking about it, like you go through these dramatic things in your life and then you just close down and you just hide, you know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people, like if I hit like a depression thing and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to shut down, I'm going to turn off, I'm going to stay away from everyone. And I feel like it's important to know that there's somebody out there that cares. There's people in the community that will support and stuff like that. And, we talk about this all the time when we're talking to nonprofits and just in general. Like, that is a great thing about this community that we live in this Fredericksburg region especially, is like it's very community-based and people, there's so many resources for all the different things. And, you touched on it. Another piece is like it's so important that all the nonprofits are coming together and we're able to link each other to other resources where it's like, oh, well, we don't necessarily specialize in that, but we have someone that does that, they're good at that, and we're going to send you over there.
Right.
Versus, like I was talking to the housing people yesterday and they were talking about the real estate thing where it's like you go to a realtor and they're like, you didn't get approved, I can't help you get a house. They're there to like fill that void of like, okay, let us help you get approved. Let's help get to that point.
Right.
So I think, the more I get out here and learn about the nonprofit space, like it's awesome that everybody's piggybacking off each other. It's like, what can I do to connect another dot? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because it's another way for us, if we connect them to the community resource, then they're once again connected to the community.
Exactly.
And you just brought it up. It's like the model that works for us here really works for us here because of the communities we're part of here. Having this and trying to translate it into somewhere in Maryland or, further south or a whole nother, it wouldn't translate, because it just takes this type of community that really does care about one another, that really is willing to kind of step up and say, what can I do? And whether it's that $20, whether it's
showing up,
giving of my time, showing up, whether it's even, asking people if or you hear about somebody whose child has cancer. You could be that person. And for many of our families, they hear about it when they go to the treatment facility. They hear about us. But they're so overwhelmed. They hear the diagnosis, and it's like your brain just goes into survival mode.
Yeah, you don't think about anything else.
You don't know what to do. And it really takes that second, third, or even fourth person that says, hey, have you heard about Fairy Godmother Project? There are people that can help. I can help get you connected. And it really is, by the time you get to that third, fourth person, is when the person's like, wow, I guess I can kind of trust to reach out. Because right now, they're just trying to do what they have to do.
Right.
They don't want to be in one more,
another appointment.
Exactly.
Another
what is this going to
person that have to tell the story to again.
Exactly.
And I like that part where you touched on, hey, you don't got to tell me anything. I'm just here to make your life better. You don't have to, because when you're going through these things, you get tired of telling the story.
You do.
It hurts, and you don't want to keep reliving it. You know what I mean? It's so I think it's important. But another thing I wanted to circle back on that's really important is the misconception that people do just assume that nonprofits are funded by the government and there's all these resources and there's all these grants. And yes, there are nonprofits that are majority funded that. But what I'm learning, the more nonprofits I'll talk to, the majority are not. Even the food bank. Yes, they've got a good sized staff and they do get a lot of funding, but when it comes to putting it all together, their big support comes from volunteers.
Right.
And then that's another piece. You can have all the money you need, but if you don't have the people to execute the plan, then the money's not going to do anything. You know what I mean? It's just money. It's not nothing without the community, without the volunteer part of people coming together to help bring this to life. And I think that's really what we have to keep pushing in the community is hey guys, we need everyone to step up and play their part into these scenarios of, like you said, bringing your talents to the table, bringing your skill set to the table. And it goes back to when you think of old people's home where they just want somebody to come talk to them.
Right.
The simplest things can go so far. So, that's the part. With us doing these trivia for a cause events, we're not raising a lot of money. And it's for me, when we sit down and we thought about it, because, we're putting their nonprofit together. And I was like, what, in the meantime, let's connect with all the nonprofits. Let's learn from what they're doing, see what we can do to help, and see where we fit into that with our mission and what we're doing. I was like, but also, these events is more about awareness than it is the money. I don't, I don't really necessarily, for example, a couple months ago, we had a nonprofit that they're education-based. They do tutoring. They started during COVID with that. And they didn't raise a lot of money at the trivia thing. And, and I was disappointed. I was like, man, I wish we could have raised more money for you guys. And, their person was like, you know what? Believe it or not, we got a long-term volunteer out of that. Someone was in the crowd. They connected with them. Mm-hmm. They came on as a volunteer, and she was like, that was more valuable than any amount of money you could have gave.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that really touched me, and was like, you know what, we're doing something. Then the awareness is the most important piece.
It really is. And having a platform, because you have your audience, and even if your audience grows and you have volunteers that have their audience, it really is about getting into other areas that we serve that have not heard about us. So we're focusing our energies on obviously schools, because they're going to know if a child goes to homebound or virtual learning because of cancer. We're obviously pediatricians, because other family members are still going to the doctors.
Right.
Dentists and stuff like that. But there's so many other people that are coming in contact with families, that are neighbors, that are your checkout person, your librarian. It's
everybody knows somebody.
You will hear, because people share the stories.
Yes.
And to be able to say, or even through Facebook, we've had lots of people that have stepped up and say, hey, here's check out their webpage. Here's someone to check, to talk to and see, if maybe they can help. Or it just takes that, just knowing. And we had somebody who came to the Stardust Ball 2 years ago, and they came as a friend. They came as, someone got a table. They came, had a great time, right? 6 months later, they had a really close family member who had gotten, their child got diagnosed.
Yeah, you just
and
never know.
And they knew then, and they were like, what can we do?
Right, now I know something that we can do. Well, and that's the thing. You never know. Like, everyone knows someone affected by cancer somewhere down the line. Like, there's someone in your network of people that's affected some way, somehow, right? So it's just being able to point people to, like, hey, I know someone that can help with that. Right. And when we talk about social media, marketing and stuff, I come from a marketing background, especially social media. I've been playing on social media since MySpace. And I've always said, like, that one share could be the share that changes everything. It could touch someone, especially in, like, this situation. That simple me sharing the post of the story or whatever, you don't know who it's going to reach. You really don't. You just don't. Exactly. And I think it's those things we need to realize, right? We're all out here sharing the memes, and I seen someone get really upset about, like, man, y'all went crazy over Ozzy Osbourne dying, but the stuff right here in our community, we can't get you to share it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, people think they've done their like or their thumbs ups and their hearts or whatever. Right. Exactly. But really, it is in the share.
It's the spread.
So that it spreads it further, that message goes. And you don't know. There's a lot of times we get requests for services will come in at like 11 o'clock at night, 2 a.m. It's like these odd times when the family just has had time just to sit down for a moment, or they're at the hospital and they're just, what do I do? I don't know if that's not from scrolling through we don't know. Social media and being like, oh, there's this, I see somebody shared this post. But they come through. When people request services, we contact them immediately, like obviously not at 2 a.m. But like the next day we contact them because I want them to know that was a hard thing to just put that in there, right? Just to fill out the form, to ask, right? And I don't want them to ever think it just goes into cyberspace and somewhere else and they'll never hear. Like we contact them right away because we want to help. Yeah, you gotta. You want to acknowledge, like, hey, your request is here. We heard you. Exactly. Well, and I think that's another thing. I've been talking about this a lot with, nonprofits, and when you're going through traumatic things in your life and you're down and out and you're struggling, like men especially, we struggle with reaching out and asking for help. Yeah. That husband that's got a kid with cancer, it's going to be hard for him probably because he's like, we've been brought up in this culture of like manly. I got to be manly. It's my family. I got to take care of this. Right. No matter if you can or not. Like your mentality is going to make you think like you're not man enough because I had to go and ask somebody for help. And we've had a lot of like actual business owners who know about us and who have reached out to their employees, reached out to contractors they use because they heard. Right. And they heard that the person's child had cancer, and they're like, hey, a lot of times they'll reach out to us first and they'll say, I just want to be clear, what do I say to them when I tell them? How do I approach them? Right, how do I approach them? You can always call us. You can always, we're happy to walk you through if you're uncomfortable even broaching the subject, but, kind of like what they can say and just how they can, lend that support to them. And it really does mean something coming because people are always so afraid to intrude. Yes. Right? Yes. To intrude on your life, right? Because we work together or because,
I don't want to make it awkward. I don't want to make this weird.
And it's just, it means the world of difference because, obviously you already have that relationship of trust. And so the fact that you have heard and about an organization that can help, it really lets them know that allows them to feel like they can trust us to reach out, to do that ask, to do that, just that simple request. And so absolutely, you're right. I mean, like having everybody feel like that they can approach. But I've noticed in particular, like a lot of our family events, the dads really love connecting with other dads. For that sheer reason is to have people that understand on their level too. It's just what it means to be. And, it is important on every level that people feel a part of.
I feel like we're getting better as society to like start to open up a little bit more and stop playing the gender role and like it's okay. It's okay. Like you're struggling, like it doesn't matter. You're struggling. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And there's resources and go use them. You know what I mean? That's what
Absolutely.
they're here for. So, yeah, I could go in all day about this stuff. I love what you guys are doing. You mentioned the upcoming carnival event, so tell everyone about like the upcoming events where they can come out and
Sure.
support, or they can sponsor, donate, whatever. Just give everybody a rundown on what y'all got coming up.
Absolutely. Well, on Friday, August 1st, we have the Kaylee Leahy blood drive, which will be at Fredericksburg United Methodist Church. Right now, we're full, but if you want to check out at Red Cross, we've had people kind of like have to not be able to give blood because they've gotten sick or other things, and so spots open up and they get filled. So please,
Just
keep an
throw
eye out
yourself
there.
on the waiting list.
Yep. So please do that. We would love to just really, in memory of Kaylee Leahy and her need for service in this community. Just to just kind of bring that to light. Also for many of our patients, our kids, they are patients that receive transfusions throughout their treatment just to try to keep their, everything healthy, keep them going in the right direction.
Right.
We do have, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So you'll be seeing a lot of tutu photos from us, wear your gold ribbons, and we just want to raise that awareness even further for families that have experienced it, that are currently experiencing it, or will experience childhood cancer. And then the Carnival for Cora's Cause is September 7th. It's at Strange Ways Brewery, 12 to 3. It is a family event. Bounce house, dunk tank, cotton candy, all the things that you
Yeah, it
enjoy
just
at a
seems like
carnival.
it's gonna be fun. I love that.
It's going to be a really fun time, family friendly. Come on out. We'd hope you come out and enjoy that. We have a golf tournament coming up October 3rd. So if you're into golf, please check out our website. And we also have the Josh
What is
Hardy.
the website?
Website is fgpinfo.org.
Okay.
And then Josh Hardy, superhero celebration. So you come out wearing your superhero garb.
I love that.
You come
I
out
actually
to
DJ'd
Strange
that.
Way.
I DJ'd that last year.
It's a great
was a lot of
time.
fun.
It is
I
a lot of
enjoyed it.
fun for the whole family.
Yep.
Come on out, and that is also in October on the 25th. So.
Awesome. Then, of course, starting next week, we'll be over at the Courtyard Marriott downtown, raising money, playing some trivia. We'll have some cool prizes, raffles, all the things. So hopefully you got anybody out there can make it out for that 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays. I'm trying to think anything else. Yeah. So, well, look, thanks for coming in and talking to us today. I'm glad we were able to hopefully get out some more awareness about what you guys are doing, and hopefully people will come support and get more involved and
Absolutely.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well,
All
that
right.
is it for this Spotlight, guys. We'll see you next time. Make sure you come out next week. Courtyard Marriott downtown, 6 to 8 p.m. for some trivia for a cause to support Fairy Godmother Project. Check them out online and see all the good things they're doing. And remember, you're not alone out there. If you know someone that needs their assistance, reach out to them. All right.